Shukla Charan.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchikalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everybody, Hare Krishna Mataji. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who's joined the group, are about to join, and will be seeing this session later on. We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2, Chapter 9, and the text, Chapter 9 is called Answers by Citing the Lord's Version, and the text for today, Mataji, is text 29. So over to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji and Prabhuji. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to do service to Srimad Bhagavatam, to my Guru, all the Gurus, and to all of you. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I start reading the verse again, paying my humble obeisances to my Guru, to the Jagat Gurus, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of you. And without the mercy of my Guru and with all of you, I wouldn't have been able to do this service. So thank you very much, Mataji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasim Tato Jayam Mudiraya Nashtapraishwa Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shlokle Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So, chapter 9, Canto 2, chapter 9, verse 29. Bhagavat Chikshitam Aham Karavanihi Atandritaha Nehamanaha Praja Sargam Patheyam Yad Anugrahat. Translation by Sri.
Ukiangalia, you can see the road. Yellow in your white, you can see.
Please tell me so that I may be taught in the matter by the instruction of the personality of Godhead, and may thus act instrumentally to generate living entities without being conditioned by such activities. Purport: Brahmaji does not want to become a speculator dependent on the strength of his personal knowledge and conditioned to material bondage. Everyone should know in clear consciousness that one is in the execution of all activities and instrument. A conditioned soul is instrumental in the hands of the external energy, Gunamaya Maya, or the illusory energy of the Lord. And in the liberated stage, the living entity is instrumental to the will of the personality of Godhead directly. To be instrumental to the direct will of the Lord is the natural constitutional position of the living entity, whereas to be instrumental in the hands of the illusory energy of the Lord is material bondage for the living entity. In that conditioned state, the living entity speculates on the absolute truth and his different activities. But in the unconditioned stage, the living entity directly receives knowledge from the Lord, and such a liberated soul acts flawlessly, without any speculative habit. The Bhagavad Gita 10.10 and 11 confirms emphatically that pure devotees who are constantly engaged in the loving transcendental service of the Lord are directly advised by the Lord, so much so that the devotee unwaveringly makes progress on the path home, back to Godhead. Pure devotees of the Lord are therefore not proud of their definite progress, whereas the non-devotee speculator is in the darkness of illusory energy and is very much proud of his misleading knowledge based on speculation without any definite path. Lord Brahma wanted to be saved from the pitfall of pride, although he was posted in the most exalted position within the universe. Hare Krishna. So a very, very interesting verse. Now, just as a quick recap, as we know, we are talking about where Lord Brahma does tapa for 1,000 celestial years. And as we know, 1,000 celestial years, can anyone tell me how many years is that in human, how many years is one celestial year? So one celestial year is 2,160,000 years. So Lord Brahma actually did tapa for 1,000 celestial years. So that's 2,160,000 years times 1,000. That's how long Lord Brahma did his tapa. And so the Lord appears in front of Brahma and says that the devotional austerities that Lord Brahma does has pleased him very much. And then Lord Brahma is shown the Vaikuntha planets, and then the Lord talks to him. He gives him knowledge. But just before talking about the Chatushlaki, we see here that Lord Brahma asks the Lord a few things. And in the last few verses, we see that Lord Brahma praying to the Lord to inform him so that he's able to know the Lord better. So, you know, when the Lord comes, and this is something we were talking about the other day, when the Lord appears in front of us, what are the things we must ask him? You know, we can't ask him anything just to satisfy our material needs, but we need to be pure, you know, we need to see the example of Lord Brahma and how he wanted to know about three things. He wanted the Lord to give him the insight to know him. You know, how does he, you know, how does he come and, you know, come in a simple form, in mundane forms in his incarnations, when he obviously is made up of Satchit Ananda and very, very different to anything material. How does he, you know, take the role of both the creator, maintainer, and the annihilator? and he asks and he requests the Lord to give him the boon, or to give him the ability so that he's able to perform his actions well without any kind of lethargy. And also the last thing that he says is that you've given me a service which is very, very unique, which has not been given to anybody else in this universe. And he is the first Jiva to be given the task of creating the whole universe. And he requests the Lord not to make him proud, because if one is given a task which is not given to anybody else, automatically there might be even unconsciously, pride might creep into a jiva's soul, because we are just surrounded by Maya. And so Lord Brahma requests these things to the Lord, and we've seen that in the last few verses. And so we see, based on the last few verses, Lord Brahma further asks clarifications or requests things to the Lord before the Lord grants him the boon and tells him the Chatushlaki Bhagavatam, which is the core teachings of the Bhagavatam. So the verse today, and the verse and the purport today focuses on primarily four things. The work done in the world, or karma. So Lord Brahma is being given some work to do. Secondly, how should that work be done? And how is comparison being made between the materialistic people and the self-realized people? So where Lord Brahma is self-realized, however, because he's in the material world, how he is requesting not to be fall into the pitfall of, in this materialistic, in the clutches of Maya. And who are the materialistic people? How do they do their karma? And how the self-realized people do their karma? And we have been taken to sections of Bhagavad Gita. The third thing being mentioned is, how do karma in Krishna consciousness, how to do karma in Krishna consciousness, as Lord Brahma wants to do. And the last thing being mentioned in this verse and purport is pride versus humility, what Lord Brahma is asking. So these are the four things that are being talked of in this verse. Now, in the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is Karma Yoga, it tells us of the karma of the material nature versus the dharma and the karma of the soul. Being in this material world and being general people in this material world, not being very, very elevated souls, and I can only speak for myself. We have to find a workable balance. What happens if you feel very, very hungry all of a sudden? You can't just leave everything. We have to look for food and shelter. We have to earn our living to be able to provide ourselves with that. We have responsibilities if we are in Grihastha ashram. So we have to find a workable balance of maintaining our duties in a way that is pleasing to Krishna, and at the same time following the Vedic injunctions and not being completely overtaken by the illusory energy or Maya, or as Guna Maya, as being mentioned in the purport. And we are given the definition of karma. So karma, in its original sense, karma is nothing but action. Karma just means action. However, karma, we are also being told, is also has the extended meaning of the reactions to actions. So that's the extended meaning of karma. So karma can just be action. And then from karma, if we go against the Vedic injunctions, that becomes vikarma. If we do action keeping Krishna at the center, and we offer everything to Krishna, and we do not, attach ourselves to the results of the fruits or the results of our actions, and we are self-realized, or sthita pragya, someone who's calm and understands the Lord and our relationship with the Lord, then it is our karma. However, just karma is any action we do. And any action we do, the extended meaning of karma being given to us in the Bhagavad Gita is also the reactions to those actions which we do. So any action we do in bad, adharmic, that will accrue wrong karma. Any action we do in good, that is going to accrue good karma. And Lord Brahma is being given a task to do. So he's been given a huge action, a karma to do. And Lord Brahma wants to ensure that he does it in the right manner. He does it as our karma, attributing everything to the Lord, offering everything to the Lord, and accepting the results of his action as a prasad, as opposed to, falling into the clutches of Maya and pride, as he mentions in this verse. So the first part of the purport talks about the varieties, or the differentiation between karma done by the materialistic people and karma done by people in who are self-realized. And this is being done. Prabhupada is so merciful through Lord Brahma's words. Prabhupada, by explaining this in the purport, is just giving an example to all of us to understand from this teaching, so as to how we should do our own actions. So we may not have the huge task of creating the universe as Lord Brahma does, but we all have, in our little way, in our daily activities, we have lots and lots of karma to do. And Prabhupada in the purport is teaching us how to do that action by comparing the two ways of doing actions. So he talks about the materialistic people who identify themselves with their gross body, bodies we can touch, the external body, and the subtle bodies, mind, false ego, intellect, and chitta. And all they think of is how they can better do sense gratification, and just for themselves, just to satisfy themselves, even if it is at the expense of others. So what they do is, we know that this material world is full of, distress and happiness, as Krishna says in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There can never be a continuous period of happiness forever. There can never be a continuous period of distress. Because happiness and distress comes to us as seasons changing, because this is the material world. It's not the spiritual world, where bliss or ananda is eternal. But what the materialistic people do is, and Prabhupada gives the example of someone carrying a weight, a big weight in his hand. So times of distress, they carry the weight in one of their hands, and then after a while, just to relieve themselves from the weight in the right hand, they hold the weight in the left hand. Then they put it on their shoulder, and then they put it on their right shoulder, and then they put it on their left shoulder. Then they put the weight on their back. So all they do is they just shuffle the weight, which is being, which is nothing but an example of the distress in our lives. All they do is they just shuffle that distress from one thing to the other. but never ever being able to completely get rid of that distress in this life, because they are so much in the clutches of Maya, because all they are doing through every action that they do is just to satisfy their own senses, which becomes very, very self-centered, to the point of being very selfish at times. And what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita right at the end? Arjuna, just give up everything, just surrender unto me. Sarvadharman parityajan mamekam sharanam vraja. All you have to do is just surrender unto me, and all these distresses will go away. So we see how Arjuna is very, very perplexed and very confused in the Bhagavad Gita initially. And Arjuna was representing us, Krishna was teaching us through Arjuna, that Krishna was teaching the materialistic men. Arjuna is a pure devotee. However, Krishna is using him as an instrument. And Prabhupada uses the word instrument in the Bhagavad as well. We have to understand we are all instruments in the hand of God. And Prabhupada and Krishna, what he does is that he asks Arjuna to fight. He asked Arjuna to fight because Arjuna wasn't sure whether it was proper for him to fight his own, cousins, elders, relatives. So Krishna inspires him and says that, Arjuna, I am the Supreme Lord, and you are acting under the instructions of me. And by acting under the instructions of me, you will not incur any sins. Because Arjuna was saying, by killing so many people, I am going to incur sins. And Krishna says that, Arjuna, all you will be doing is you will be doing your prescribed duty, and you offer that to me. You work on my behalf. And in fact, I have already killed these people because they are, because they have insulted, they have done wrong against righteous people like you, the Pandavas. They have insulted Draupadi, dragged her into the middle of the assembly. So I have already decided to punish them. So all you have to do is just offer all your activities unto me, and do that in spiritual consciousness. So in every single sentence, Krishna is saying that's the teaching being given to us, how we need to do our karma. So in material consciousness, one thinks that, their identity is their body. And if the bodies are killed, the people will die. But spiritual consciousness understands that the body is different from the soul. And when the body is annihilated, the soul does not die. The soul just enters another body based on the last thoughts of the soul, as we see in Jarabarat, based on the karma, based on the desires of the soul. So Krishna is saying, just situated, being in the spiritual consciousness, just perform your duties, Arjuna. Do not expect any personal, selfish benefit out of any activity you do. And remember, this is being said in the purport of this verse, in this verse, of the materialistic way of doing versus the spiritualistic way of working. So Lord Brahma is being told about all of these. Lord Brahma has to think of all of this to be able to do his work in a completely non-selfish way. Never think that he has done something. Never thinking, what is the benefit that I will get? I can just meditate and I'm going to reach Krishna because, I'm going to reach the spiritual world. So what is going to be my benefit by taking the responsibility of such a great, great thing? So that is Brahma's thought, that I cannot be possessive because that is not work done in Krishna consciousness. Also, there is another word being given in the purport, lethargy. And again, it takes us back to the verse 3.30 that Krishna tells Arjuna, do your work in enthusiasm. So we know Lord Brahma, he's the guna avatar, and he's also representative of which guna? The guna of rajas, or passion, where you do things in, in passion, with enthusiasm. And he had to do that. He couldn't have done his work that, oh, I've been assigned this task and I really have to do it, oh, what a bore, I have to complete it. I've been given this time, I have to do it. No, he had to fulfill that task in passion, with all this enthusiasm, direct instruction by Krishna, what Krishna tells Arjuna in verse 3.30, perform your duty without lethargy. And what are the three things that Krishna tells Arjuna? Says, do your duty without lethargy, do your duty without attachment to the result, and do your duty without any sense of possessiveness or proprietorship or claim on the result. Okay, and I do it as an offering to me. And if one does activities in this manner, one will not incur any sinful reactions, whatever they have to do, even if it's something as violent as fighting, because one is directly being instructed by Krishna. Arjuna had to do that action. Arjuna had to fight because his dharma was a Kshatriya. So by not fighting against a dharma, he would have shied away from his responsibility. And that would have been against the Krishna's wishes. So Krishna tells Arjuna just to fight. And then, remember the fact that just like we talked about the other day of the train seat, we go from one destination to another, whether we take a flight, we take a train, and then for that part, say, for example, I'm going from London to Manchester. And then for that part, I've booked my train and booked my seat on the train. And if anybody else comes and claims my seat, I can say, no, you can't sit over there because that is my seat. But after I reach my destination, am I going to attach myself to that seat? No, I won't. I'm just going to get off. Even if someone pleads me to say, take your seat, I will not. I will just get off. So similarly, that is how our work needs to be done. We cannot attach ourselves to the work we are doing, because everything we do in this material world is temporary. It does not stay. So all we can do is just offer it as a prayer to Krishna, and accept whatever is being given to us, accept it as prasad of Krishna. And that is karma done in bhakti yoga. And that is what Brahma wants to do. He doesn't want to do just karma. He doesn't want to do any action which is going to accrue just good karma or bad karma. Because whether one accrues good karma or bad karma, that is always going to bring one back to this material world in this cycle of birth and death over and over. Because you have to return to this material world to spend your good karma. And you have to return to the material world to be punished for your bad karma. So Lord Brahma doesn't want that. So he wants to do karma in bhakti, and that is why he's requesting the Lord to give him instructions so that he can understand the Lord better. He can understand the intentions of the Lord and what exactly the Lord wants him to do. And all of that he can do without any pride. And that is karma done in Bhakti Yoga. So the purport further says that Brahmaji does not want to become a speculator, and he doesn't want to think that it's his personal knowledge. Because if he starts thinking he has created the universe with his personal knowledge, that is the thinking of a conditioned soul who is bound to this material bondage. And Brahmaji did not want to think that he was the doer, he was the proprietor, because he has been tasked, he has created the universe. So a conditioned soul is instrumental in the hands of the external energy, or Gunamaya Maya, as Prabhupada saying. But a liberated soul is instrumental to the will of the personality of Godhead directly. Krishna directly instructs such a person. And to be instrumental to the direct will of the Lord, it is the natural constitutional position of the living entity. That is what we do best. That is what the soul does best, because that is our natural position to directly serve the Lord, to directly hear the instructions of the Lord. That is what we do in the spiritual world. You know, we don't, think of we have to please somebody else. No, we just listen to what the direct instructions of the Lord is. That's what the spiritual souls do. And what is that? That is doing work for the Lord in pure bhakti. What is bhakti? Just loving the Lord. The Lord has everything. He just wants us to love pure, unconditional, ahaituki apratihata, unconditional, unmotivated love and continuous love. And how can we get that love? The Lord can give us everything. The Lord can give us everything. He cannot give us bhakti. Bhakti has to have its beach in us. The bhakti lata beach starts, that grows in the heart of a pure devotee. And through the heart of a pure devotee, it comes to us. Unfortunate souls who are conditioned and who are tied up in this material world. Lifetimes after lifetimes. And who is the greatest devotee? Radharani. So without the blessings and sanction of Radharani, that bhakti cannot come to us through our guru, through elevated devotees. So that is what we have to encourage. That is what we have to remember always, that we have to serve the Lord. Through our karma is to serve the Lord, please the Lord, and remember that serving the Lord and loving the Lord has to be sanctioned by Radharani, and so also serving Radharani and representatives of Radharani, Lord Balaram, and our gurus, and any elevated souls are the pure bona fide devotees of the Lord who plants that Bhaktilata beach in our hearts. We see how Duryodhana, he couldn't follow the Krishna, even though Krishna was before him. He was under the clutches of Maya. He couldn't see through, he couldn't see that. And in verse 3.29 in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that, again in Karma Yoga, Krishna tells Arjuna that people who are not ready to accept me, people who are not ready to do their actions, dedicating it to me and accepting it as prasad, don't unsettle them. Don't disturb them, let them be, because they will run their own course of, learning from the repeated births and deaths, and learning from, what Maya will bring to them, and they will learn. Because if we try to force, love can never be forced. This is one thing that can never be forced, and Krishna does not want our forced love. And that is the reason at the end of Bhagavad Gita, he tells Arjuna, I've told you the knowledge and the truth. Now you do what you want to do, because he doesn't want our forced love. So we see that Krishna goes so many times to Duryodhana, even being the peace messenger, but Duryodhana does not understand. And so, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says in Madhya Lila 22.31, it says that, Krishna Shurja Shama Maya Hoy Andakar, Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Adhikar. Or Krishna is compared to the sunshine as Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. And so Lord Brahma is saying he wants that Krishna consciousness. The previous verses, he's just asking and coming into this verse. Lord Brahma is praying to the Lord for that Krishna consciousness, which will take away the darkness of illusion from him and allow him to do his work in a pure way. The second part of the purport starts by saying that this is, so after comparing what the material people do and how they do their karma, and how people who are self-realized do their karma, and so what is Lord Brahma requesting Krishna to enlighten him with, and how we can learn how to do our karma on a day-to-day basis. The second part of the purport starts by saying that in the unconditioned stage, the living entity directly receives the knowledge from the from the Lord, and such people do their action faultlessly because they receive the knowledge directly from the Lord. And Prabhupada says elsewhere in chapter 9 of Srimad Bhagavatam that when a living entity becomes Krishna conscious, he is immediately relieved of all the material and lusty desires. And lusty desires and greed are only associated with rajas and tamas, that passion and darkness. So when one becomes Krishna conscious, the modes of passion and darkness immediately vanish. And then the mode of goodness, which is sattva guna, that remains. And when one is situated in the mode of goodness, he can make that spiritual advancement and he can understand things clearly. It's not possible for everyone. It's a slow process. Some people take to that journey very quickly based on their, if they're based on their previous punya. Some people take time. But when a person is Krishna conscious, or when a person does any small service, he's already on that path. And a person who is Krishna conscious, he continuously hears about Krishna, he thinks of him, he worships him, he serves him as a devotee. And in this way, Maya is not able to touch that person. And Lord Brahma wanted that. And that is the reason Lord Brahma is requesting Krishna to give him that enlightenment, so that he comes out of that clutches of Maya. And Prabhupada also talks about Bhagavad Gita 10.10 in this in the purport, which says Te samsatata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite, which means those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Or in other words, he's talking about Buddhi Yoga, as is mentioned in the Gita. Buddhi means intelligence. Buddhi Yoga is Bhakti Yoga. Buddhi means intelligence, and yoga means, mystic activities or connecting with the Lord. So if one tries to go back to Godhead, one has to come to Bhakti Yoga. One has to do their karma or their action in Bhakti. And that understanding that the ultimate goal is Krishna, and the ultimate goal of life is to get out of the cycle of birth and death, that is the ultimate goal. And when a person knows the goal of life, he is able to perform his duties well. Now, there's this, I don't know if any of you have heard of this devotee called Tanajat. Has anyone heard of the devotee Tanajat? He was born in Rajasthan, in the Indian state of Rajasthan in 1415. A great devotee. Even Mirabai, who was a great devotee, she also refers to her in one of her pageants. Now, Tanajat was an uneducated, very, very poor man, but he used to go to the temple and he used to observe that the pujari closed the temple room for a while every single day. And when he asked the pujari said, "Oh, I'm offering food to Krishna." And Tanajat said, "Oh, I want to do that as well. I want to serve Krishna. I want to offer food to Krishna, but I don't have a devotee at home." So he asked the pujari to give him a devotee, to give him Krishna. And the pujari said, he didn't think much of that. But Tanajat would ask the pujari every single day, "Give me Krishna, give me Krishna." So one day the pujari just gave him a black mortar. And in that black mortar, the pujari actually used to grind opium in that black mortar. And he just got sick and tired of Tanajat asking him every single day of the same thing. So he gave that a small black mortar to Tanajat. He said, "This is Krishna, take him, offer food to him, and receive everything. And, once Krishna has the food, take it as a prasad, whatever is left, take it as a prasad and have it." So Tanajat went home and he, elated, overjoyed, and he made some, because he was very poor, so he made just one roti for him, for the Lord. And, does everybody understand what roti is? Is there anyone who doesn't understand what roti is?
I think everybody understands the party. Yeah.
Okay, so he offered a roti to Krishna. He couldn't offer anything else. And obviously, the mortar, that is, he offered it to that mortar, that opium mortar. And Krishna, nobody ate it. So Tanajat said, "Oh, I can't accept it because Krishna hasn't eaten it. So I can't have the prasad." So 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, he couldn't, Krishna didn't come and take the prasad. And he got very, very sad. He said, "Maybe I'm not doing my work properly. That is, because I'm not even able to offer Krishna anything more than just a tiny roti. And there is Krishna, he's getting butter and milk and ghee from the gopis. Why would you come and take my roti?" So he was shedding tears. He was very sad that he was not doing his work properly. And that is the reason Krishna wasn't eating his roti. And immediately Krishna comes and he sits next to Tanajat and he has that roti. He takes half and he offers the other half to Tanajat. So we understand that when a devotee yearns for Krishna from the bottom of his heart, the Lord is overcome by the same sense of yearning for the devotee. And the Lord comes running towards him with arms stretched. And the Lord embraces him, just that like the Lord shook hands with Brahma, because the Lord was overcome with the same sense of yearning for his devotee, for Lord Brahma. Because the God is everywhere. God is omnipresent. He omniscient. He's omnipresent. And he dwells in the heart of every single individual jiva. So when he knows that a devotee is fully surrendered unto him, and that is when God, being all-knowing and the most kind and gracious and merciful, he does not waste any time in appearing in front of the devotee. So Tanajat called out for the God innocently, but that is he wanted to know the Lord. And that is how, you know, we are being told over here. That is what Lord Brahma is asking the Lord. He wanted to know the Lord. He wanted to understand what the Lord wants from him so that he's able to do his work properly. Just as Tanajat wanted to know how to do his work properly, so that the Lord would eat his roti or eat his food. And that is the ultimate goal of life. So when a person knows this goal of life and is not addicted to the fruits of the activities, that is bhakti, and that is what we are being told. Because otherwise, we are told of when we are talked about karma yoga, we know of the yoga ladder. We know of people who do their actions, but they are addicted to the fruits of activities. They're addicted to the results. Some may even do puja, but even for their puja, they want something in return. So we know what Krishna says, you know, karmanya vadikaraste ma phaleshi kadachana. Arjuna, you can do your action, but you are not entitled to the results of the action. But people who do actions in seeking a result, they are in karma kanda. But the next step is when they know that the goal is Krishna, but they take pleasure in mental speculations of knowledge, just wanting to gain more and more knowledge without any power. That is when people act in Gyan Yoga. But when the power comes, when people just want to know Krishna, just love him, that is Bhakti Yoga. And that is what we are being told in the purport. That is how we should do our action. Just wanting to do our actions for Krishna, wanting to please him. And so pure devotees of the Lord, they just want to do their action and they want to do their karma, they want to do their action, knowing that they are not the doers, they are not the proprietors, they are not in control. Everything is sanctioned by Krishna, and even their bhakti has to be sanctioned by Radharani before it reaches them. And so we come to the last part of what Lord Brahma is saying, and the last part of the purport, that devotees of the Lord, they are not proud. And Lord Brahma, the last line sent of the purport says, Lord Brahma wanted to be saved from that pitfall of pride. Although he was posted in the most exalted position within the universe, he was given the topmost task in the universe to create the universe. But Lord Brahma wanted to be saved from that pitfall of pride. We know that, you know, Mahaprabhu teaches us in the third verse of Shishikshashtakam, Srinado Pisanichena, Tarira Pisurisahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtania Sadahari, that one should chant the holy name of the Lord in the humble state of mind, thinking oneself even lower than the grass we trample upon. But the grass is trampled upon and goes straight again. And we should be, you know, as tolerant as a tree, which always gives us shade despite any kind of, you know, whatever seasons, rain comes, you know, scorching sun, come torrential rain, come any kind of weather, the tree is there to give us a shelter. And we should be devoid of that sense of ego and prestige and just respect others, be kind to humanity. Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he was talking about, you know, the exemplary character of Sanatan Goswami. He was a very, very, you know, respectable person. He was, you know, the king was very fond of Sanatan Goswami. He was a great scholar. He was very popular amongst people, rich. And yet, when he came to meet Mahaprabhu, he had a straw between his teeth. And when you have a straw between your teeth, that is the sign of humility. You know, that is how in the Vedic culture, people said that I'm lower than everything and I'm paying my humble obeisances to you. So that is when one comes in without any pride to someone. And that is how Sanatana Goswami approached the Lord. And the Lord embraced him. And, you know, Prabhupada compares this scene to Kurukshetra, because Sanatana Goswami, he was, you know, he was self-realized already, but he still comes to Krishna, and he still comes to Mahaprabhu, and he asks the question. He begins with, who am I? Just tell me, who am I? And Mahaprabhu starts his teaching when he meets Sanatana Goswami in Varanasi. Mahaprabhu starts his teaching by saying, Jiver Swarupoy Krishna Nityadas, or our constitutional position is to be eternal servants of the Lord. And by servant, it's service of love. It's that exchange of love between the Jiva and Krishna. And Prabhupada compares this to the scene in Kurukshetra, where Arjuna is perplexed, confused, and it's asking Krishna and requesting Krishna to give him some direction. But Prabhupada says that, you know, whereas Krishna's direction, Krishna had to start right from the beginning, because he was teaching general people, common mankind. So Krishna had to start telling Arjuna that we are the souls and we are not the body. We had to start right from the beginning. But Sanatana Goswami was already elevated. And when he starts with the question, who am I? Krishna goes even further, saying that you're not just the soul, but your soul whose only work is to serve Krishna eternally. And so that is the mood with which Lord Brahma wants to serve Lord Krishna, because Mahaprabhu describes in Shashtakam as well, talking about pride, that, you know, pride is just like the Brahmastra which wanted to kill Maharaj Parikshit, and Krishna saved Maharaj Parikshit. Similarly, pride is the Brahmastra. Pride is the Brahmastra of material energy. And we need to be saved from that. And we cannot do it ourselves. And Lord Brahma was fully conscious of the fact that he cannot do it himself. And so he was praying to Krishna to save him from that pride. Because prestige, ego, pride, they are the most subtle enemy of a devotee. Sometimes it has to be there, because, you know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if somebody attacks Krishna or Krishna consciousness, you know, say, for example, you're attacking, you're saying cruel things, like Shishupal was saying cruel things to Krishna, then one has to counterattack. Arjuna had to fight. Hanuman had to, you know, destroy Lanka, you know, put fire in Lanka with his tail, because they were, and then you can't remember about pride, because anger takes over, because one is insulting Krishna and one is doing. But by default, one has to be, you know, humble. One has to be very, very, you know, one has to be completely without any kind of pride. Because as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one of his songs, that I am just like a beggar, and I am begging for the highest thing, to be given some direction in this illusory world, so that I can go back to my own home. I can go back to Krishna. And that is what Brahma is asking as well. You know, take out that pride from me. Because prestige, ego, pride, they, you know, they ultimately come destroy us. It's like, and Prabhupada always talks about, you know, how the Mayavadis, they think aham brahmasmi, that I am everything, I am Brahman. They don't say daso, they don't say I am the servant of the Lord. They say I am Brahman, aham, I am brahmasmi. But we have to take up the attitude of humility, because that is the attitude of a Vaishnava. We mustn't be proud of ourselves. So, as we say in the Tulsi Arati, we pray to Mother Tulsi that Dina Krishna Dasa Koi age and Amorehai Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sada Jaina Pasi. So our only thing to be in this life is to pray to the great devotees, to like Tulsi Mata or our gurus, to give us some direction. So, and say that I'm very, very fallen. I'm a fallen and lowly servant of Krishna. And as we pray to Mother Tulsi, we say, please allow me to swim in the love of Shri Radha and Govinda, so that I'm completely taken off that pride and I'm completely eternally serving the two of them, which is my original constitution. So I conclude by saying that, and that is what Lord Brahma is praying for in this verse. He wanted to be guided and be given the enlightenment by the Lord, but he wanted to remain a servant without pride when he undertakes that very important task assigned to him by the Lord. And it teaches us all, that verse and the purport teaches us all how we must gratefully undertake all the activities given to us in our day-to-day life, because they've all been, everything is sanctioned by the Lord and everything is being done for a purpose. So we have to do our task dutifully in the right way, in the path of Dharma, without any sense of proprietorship, any sense of pride, and have it and do it as an offering to Krishna, and accept anything that we receive in life, whatever Krishna gives us, we accept it as prasad from the Lord. And that is what our attitude should be when we do our action. And that is what the Lord is requesting to do in this verse. So I finish our discussion with that. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to discuss this beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for today's session. As usual, it just brings us down to the level, you bring the conversation down to and discussion down to our level, and we can understand it better. Are there any questions or comments? I have a small question, Mataji. So Lord Brahma had requested to be given that insight of understanding the Lord, and then not to be lethargic, and then not to be proud. And I'm assuming, and maybe it will come in the future chapters, that the Lord must have granted these three wishes to Lord Brahma.
Yes, of course, because otherwise he wouldn't have assigned the task
Yeah.
to Brahma. But we also see in the future how even Lord Brahma is disillusioned, and that is the role of Maya. So we start with all the best of intentions that I'm going to walk in the path of right, but the clutches of Maya are so strong that the jivas, we cannot combat Maya ourselves. We are taken to the wrong path. And why shouldn't we be? Because the Maya is Lord's energy. And Jivatma, we are just mere Jivatmas. We don't have the power to combat Maya directly. So that is why we constantly have to take the shelter of the Lord and surrender unto him, so that in our journey, we are not misdirected, we are not derailed from the path of bhakti. And Lord Brahma, as we know from the past time, he himself was derailed at times, although his intention wasn't the same. He started his conversation with the Lord wanting to do his karma, wanting to do his duty with pure Krishna consciousness forever, for his entire duration as Lord Brahma.
Yes, Mataji. So thank you so much, because that was going to be my second question, saying then why did he get disillusioned when he took the coward boys away? and the cows, but you've rightly explained that it is because of the clutches of Maya. Thank you so much for today's session. I know we have exhausted our time for today. So let us chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in glorification of Her Grace Panchali Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki Her Grace Panchali Mataji ki Jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.